We're talking Star Wars. Because we're all stuck at home, it's time to do a grand Star Wars special. The movie that started it all. Episode 4, A New Hope. The year was 1977. Yeah, this is your grandpa's Star Wars. Followed by the Star Wars that almost ruined it all. Sorry, Jar Jar. We'll take you behind the scenes of Episode 7, 8, and now streaming Episode 9, Rogue One Solo, all those other movies in between, because this is our You're Stuck at Home Star Wars special. I think my son almost got run over. You can come in here, it's okay. Hey, celebrating Star Wars Episode 9, now streaming and on home video, and also celebrating, well, not celebrating, but leaning into the fact that we are all hanging out at home, keeping it safe, harboring, hunkering down. That's my son, Jackson. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
It's funny, my son Carson's behind the camera. He loves Star Wars. This one, right?
Meh.
Okay. If you could meet anybody that's ever been associated, what, am I boring you? Is there something wrong? It's like an island, if not for that son who likes Star Wars. If you could meet anybody from the Star Wars universe, who would it be?
Sam Jackson.
And why do you like Samuel L. Jackson? And be honest, too.
Because he's in Quentin Tarantino movies.
Exactly. He could care less about Star Wars. Regardless, back in the day, it was a huge deal for Sam Jackson, whose career was pretty much exploded by Quentin Tarantino, to be in a Star Wars movie. We talked.
You're on the level with Yoda. You're pretty much we're matched with him.
Yeah, pretty much equals in a sort of way. But I actually still refer to him as master sometimes. But we do have a different relationship than the majority of people on the Jedi Council or the other Jedi. We talk personally and try and solve problems among ourselves.
Is that cool to be sitting there talking about Jedi and using the word we? We as Jedi? That's pretty cool.
Well, of course. I mean, whoever thought?
Say what again? Sorry, my dog hates it when I do Samuel L. Jackson. Because it's a horrible impression and it's loud. All right, so there's your Sam Jackson. All right, now if we break down Star Wars by generation, my generation, the movies that were made in my early lifetime were 4, 5, 6. In your lifetime, they were pretty much 1, 2, and 3. And the youngins right now, they got the 7, 8, 9. Which trilogy is the best of all those I just said?
1, 2, and 3.
That's because those are the movies that were made when you were young. And those are the movies that traditionally my generation says suck. However, if there's one thing we can agree on, J.J. Abrams brought it back to where it needs to be. I had a chance to sit down with him to talk about Star Wars, but I also talked about my movie that opened the week after Star Wars. Did you know your dad made a movie?
No.
The truth is, he probably didn't. Anyway, J.J. did. But today's interview with you is going to be one of the most unique and memorable I've ever had, and it's not just because Star Wars has been a huge part of my life all my life.
Uh-oh, what's happening?
About the time you were doing Star Trek, I interviewed you and I told you that it was my childhood dream to make movies. And you said, well, what's stopping you? Make the movie. He said, people always come to me with a script or an idea or this or that, but they never make the movie. So my advice to you is make the movie. Well, I made a movie.
You're kidding.
My movie opens a week after Star Wars.
That's unbelievable.
So I just
Congratulations.
wanted to tell you. Thank you very much.
What's your movie?
It's called Apparition with Kevin Pollak and Mina Sabari. We're not here to talk about that. We're here to talk
I got to ask you questions about that.
to get my ass
Let's get the
kicked.
poster up. What's it called? What's it called?
It's called Apparition.
Apparition.
But to get my ass kicked by Star Wars is actually
come
kind of
on.
like getting punched by
That's-
Muhammad Ali. Look at that. Your old man hanging out with one of the greatest directors of your generation. Not only that, but telling him that he's got a movie in theaters at the exact same time. Kind of cool, huh?
It's crazy.
Do you know what the 12-year-old me would have said? The 12-year-old me would have said, hey, didn't theaters all go away with the great Corona plague? The 12-year-old me was very smart. You know why he's mocking me in his head? Because the 12-year-old me wasn't smart. The 12-year-old me looked a lot like this.
Mark's a 12-year-old 7th grader from Nimitz Junior High School. One look inside his room tells you in a moment that he lives and breathes the Star Wars cult.
I just liked the movie a lot. I thought the technical effects in it were real good.
The technical effects were real good.
All right. Laugh it up, fuzzball. Yeah, I did sound like a cross between Forrest Gump and Kermit the Frog. But I had grown up in the middle of nowhere, Texas. What did I know, right? Right? All right. You know who George Lucas is, right?
I do.
All right. A few movies ago, I got a chance to hang out with him at his house on the ranch. Take a look.
There are no more diehard fans than science fiction fans. How much pressure is there to live up to their expectations? And also, like when you go to a rock concert, you want the artist to play all your favorite hits. How much pressure is there to make sure that all the familiar themes are there?
Well, I can't really deal with what the fans want, because the fans want a million different things. Every fan wants a different thing. They don't all want the same thing. They all want different things. And so I basically have to make my movie, the movie that I started with 30 years ago, and try to be faithful to that, and hope that they like that. Hollywood is where they do focus groups and get everybody's opinion, and then try to make a movie that pleases everybody.
Sure.
I have to make a movie that basically tells a story that I started 30 years ago, and makes sense. So I'm trying to be faithful to the original story more than anything else.
If you could ask George Lucas anything, what would you ask him?
Is it true that you modeled Chewbacca off of your own dog?
How did you know that? That's true. A little bit of the old man rubbed off on young Padawan, because that's true. He did.
I know, thank you.
All right, are you sick of being here?
No.
Yes, you are. All right, I'm going to excuse my son and dig up one of my friends. One of the greatest directors Hollywood has known. I say that because he's pretty cool, and he's my friend. Joe Carnahan, the guy who brought you Smokin' Aces, The A-Team, Narc, The Gray, and so many other great movies, joins us to talk about his many connections to the Star Wars universe, and the lovely and talented Felicity Jones. Rogue One, next. Welcome back to Extra Butter. It's our Star Wars special. And yes, I am doing it from my house because I can't go anywhere and you can't go anywhere. Fortunately, I have friends in the industry that are in the same boat. Ladies and gentlemen, you know him, you love him, longtime friend of mine, director extraordinaire. It's Joe Carnahan. How are you?
Hey, buddy. How you doing, man?
You know, it's crazy, Joe. Like, I'm turning on the usual shtick, and I'm going, hey, everybody, it's my friend, expecting, like, this imaginary crowd to start applauding. So
I know. There's no cheers right now, Mark.
All you got is me.
No one can hear the applause. Yeah.
And my hands are full, so I can't even give you anything. I could clap my feet if you want that.
Dude, you should have like canned laugh and canned applause right there in the room. I think that would, why not? Like the King of Comedy, do something like that, dude. I think that would be the way to go.
The way I'm losing my mind right now, Joe, I'm hearing all of that in my head. We don't need it. How are you doing?
I'm good, man. We're riding out this very unpleasant situation, but I'm good, man. I get to talk to you. I get to sit in my home. I get to eat ice cream, and no one's judging me. So what's wrong with that?
Exactly. Hey, exactly. How far down are you wearing anything under that robe? And are we going to have a wardrobe malfunction?
Not at all. If I pan down, it would turn an NC-17 very quickly. So we don't want to do that.
Okay, bud. So let's say you're stuck in your home for an extended period of time, because indeed you are. What Star Wars movie do you go to? Something nostalgic you haven't seen in a while. What's a favorite?
I would probably, listen, I had the pleasure, the rare treat of actually seeing Revenge of the Sith with George Lucas sitting one seat away from me at Skywalker Ranch before anybody else saw it. So that's obviously I have a very fond memory of that. And like watching the mask come down over Vader and Seal, and then hearing that first kind of, scuba breath that he took was kind of amazing.
How's that? Hey, I got to ask you, if I could back up for a minute. So, like, I'm a knucklehead press guy. So every now and then I get invited to hang out with Lucas, et cetera, on the ranch. But for you, what's it like being a kid who cut his teeth on these movies to be sitting peer to peer, side by side with that guy?
Oh, dude, it was wild. And you never feel like, it's like one of those, you imagine usually when I'm 10 years old, 11 years old, watching Empire Strikes Back, and now I'm sitting next to this guy at Skywalker Ranch. It was one of those unbelievably cool, never to be repeated kind of experiences. So it was amazing, dude.
Were there any moments where you're watching it and you go, hey, maybe tighten that scene up a little bit?
No, dude, that's not really the time or the place to share your editorial notes. No, it was, I think I was so, it could have been anything, and I would have been completely gobsmacked because of the company that I was keeping at that time. So that was pretty amazing. And then recently, I think I love, Rogue One. I dug. I thought because of the idea of this prequel leading up to the original Star Wars was kind of a novel idea, and I dug it. I thought it had the best cast. That cast was tremendous.
Yeah, you and I, we share a love of that movie, and specifically, you thought Donnie Yen sold it.
Oh yeah, man, I love Donnie Yen. I'm a big Ip Man fan, but Donnie was so. I just thought that character was, I think it was Chirrut, I forget his name, but I loved that characterization. It's kind of like Satyajit, like the one-armed, the blind swordsman. It was kind of a cool little homage, I think, to a lot of things. I think it was a nice little nod to the very Eastern influence of Star Wars.
Yeah, I love the eloquence in which you speak about it, because I would have skipped right past Donnie and got straight to Felicity Jones, because not shocking to you, Joe, I stalked her for like 3 years to talk about this movie. Take a look. Lovely to see you.
Lovely to see you too.
All right, I have a confession to make. I've been feeling really guilty for a few weeks now. I completely hijacked an Inferno interview with you just to talk about Star Wars.
That's fine.
So you want to just forget this and talk Inferno instead?
Yeah, let's just switch around.
No?
Why not? Why
Okay.
not?
All right.
I feel like I've been doing an extensive press junket for Star Wars for about a year, because anytime I do anything, people just want to know about Star Wars. So it's fine.
Right, well, I told Diego, I said, you really, once you get cast, you can't tell anyone. It's like winning the lottery. They tell you when you win the lottery, don't tell anyone.
Exactly. And so when you get an opportunity to talk about it, you just end up over-talking and saying too much.
It's really embarrassing as your friend to see that, Mark. Really.
Could you see like drool trickling down as I'm going, hey, you're awesome.
Yeah.
This is
Yeah. Did she present you with a restraining order there, or did that arrive later by mail? Was that something that...
No, that happened back in Italy on the Hanks film. All right, back to Donnie Yen. I did talk to him about the massive, non-needed special effects when he was actually samurai fighting. Because let's face it, when we saw Hayden Christensen doing anything that resembled a real samurai fight, that was CG. Donnie's the real deal, right?
Yes, he's the real deal. And you're seeing actual years of martial arts and Chinese ballet, just like Jackie Chan. And so, yeah, those guys are superiorly trained up.
Yeah, I talked to Johnny about that. Take a look. So this character, it made me feel like I felt when I was a little kid and I saw Star Wars for the first time and the mysticism that came with Obi-Wan Kenobi. Yeah,
Oh, seriously? Like, oh my God, that's such a nice thing to say.
Yet it's an Obi-Wan Kenobi that can open up a big can of whoop better than any character I've ever seen.
Yeah, they better not give me a lightsaber. If they give me a lightsaber,
sure,
you know what's going to happen.
I know that you're you're a skilled professional, and you've been on big movie sets before, but was there ever one day where you show up on set and you look around?
Every single day. I mean, this is the biggest, the most fascinating set I have ever been in.
We'll return to my Star Wars stuff in a minute. In the meantime, what's new with you?
Well, we got Boss Level, which is a finished film, and given the current state of the state, meaning everybody's kind of stuck inside, we may push this thing up a lot faster than we thought. I'm not sure yet. Or we may be one of the first films that people jump back into the theater to see, which would also be very appealing. So there's that going on. We're in Puerto Rico scouting a film called Leo from Toledo with Mel Gibson and Frank Grillo. And obviously everything shut down, so we pulled out of that. But there's a number of really interesting things, and also the project we're actually doing with Donnie Yen, which we're hoping to get hopefully shot by sometime mid-year next year. So there's a lot of really interesting things going on, and it's a pretty exciting time. Again, given that we're all kind of stuck in our homes at the moment, but staying busy right now and kind of staying focused is important. So that's what I'm trying to do.
My friend Joe Carnahan, thank you very much. All right, coming up on our Extra Butter All Things Star Wars special, because Episode 9 is streaming and you're hunkering down at home, the Skywalker that started it all. Luke Skywalker's Mark Hamill and Childish Gambino. Donald Glover taking over some Lando action next.
This is the Star Wars special you're looking for.
It sure is, because it's your Stay Safe at Home Star Wars special. Why are we doing this Extra Butter special on Star Wars? Well, one, Episode 9 is yours for watching at home. And now, since you're stuck at home, you might as well catch up the entire family with every single possible Star Wars movie. I always suggest start them where it gets good. Episode 4, A New Hope. Largely, I'm saying that because that's the movie that I started with. Had a chance to hang out with Luke Skywalker back in the day. Kevin Smith invited me to interview Mark Hamill for his movie, Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back. Later, I caught up with him to talk about joining the Star Wars cult. I should start this interview by saying this interview is going to pretty much be an essay, what Mark Hamill means to me.
Oh.
All right, the very first time I talked to you was for a Kevin Smith movie, and I walked in and you said, oh my God, it's the guy from Short Attention Span Theater on Comedy Central. And I thought,
oh, yeah.
Luke Skywalker knows me.
That's
he knows
right.
me.
What a great concept, because you're talking to someone with a short attention span.
Oh, good.
And it gets worse with age. I really enjoyed what you did.
Well, my kids will tell you that if I get hit by a bus, one of my kids at my eulogy will say, Mark Hamill once said that he watched his show on Comedy Central. He had a fulfilled life.
Wow, I'm honored.
How about you? Is this a fulfilled life coming back to this after all these years?
Well, it was a total shock, I thought. Even if they did 7 and 8, they'd all have all new characters. And then George told me that he was getting tired of it and he didn't want to be doing these films in his 70s. So he told me flat out, well, I'm not doing 7, 8, and 9. Then when he asked to meet with us, we knew something was up.
You know what I love about Mark Hamill? I love that Luke Skywalker, at this point in time, when we meet him in 7, 8, and 9, is pretty much where Mark Hamill is. A little crotchety, a little cranky. And also, you know what I like to see? Right now, when we're all kind of isolating, I would love to see a spin-off special of what Luke Skywalker's doing on that island all day long. What's going on there? Maybe we could learn a lot from Luke Skywalker. I don't know. Hey, if you haven't watched Solo yet, and you steered away from it because of early Rotten Tomatoes reviews, watch Solo. I think it's a great movie. If you knew nothing of Star Wars, and let's face it, a lot of your friends and family don't, Solo's not a bad movie to cut their teeth on. It's Ron Howard-rific. He took over directing it. I think he did a great job. Do you know who Phoebe Bridge is? She's the actress in the movie that plays the robot that ends up becoming a part of Millennium Falcon. Oh, I'm plot spoiling, aren't I? All right, forget I said that. Regardless, she's paired up with Donald Glover. Childish Gambino's the new Lando and does a crazy, great job. I caught up with him to talk about his pop's reaction to this new generation of Star Wars. So, your pops, he was the first person you called when you got the gig, right?
Yeah.
What did he say? How'd that go down?
He was just kind of speechless. He couldn't believe it. It was just, I had to tell him. Just because, he was the one that introduced me, and, Lando was the first toy I ever had. So, he was kind of speechless. He was like, this is incredible. How are they even going to, I think it was just he was like, how are they even going to do that?
Yeah. Awesome, dude. That's Childish Gambino, also your new Lando Calrissian. Hey, am I alone? Make some noise if you think there should have been, and possibly should still be, a standalone Lando movie with Childish Gambino's Donald Glover. Woo-hoo! That's what I'm talking about. I'm going to make that happen. It's my son, Carson. Make that happen. All right. With the new Lando, you also get a new Han Solo, of course, by Alden Ehrenreich. A decent guy. I thought he did an okay job. It's hard to keep those shoes filled when you're talking about Harrison Ford, but I thought he did an amazing job, all things considered. One of my proudest moments at ILM, Industrial Light and Magic, created by George Lucas, catching up with him to give him a toy I actually bought for my own kids at Target a few minutes before. Take a look. Do you own a U?
My mom has one for my nieces and nephews, yeah, but we got to get more of those, actually.
Well, I know they're probably, maybe you know someone, maybe you don't, but I would like to present you
thank you.
with you.
Wow, this is really my first one, so I appreciate it. Wow.
Nice guy there, Alden Ehrenreich, your young Han Solo, even though he gladly took the action figure that was ultimately meant for my son. My son will never know. He's not watching. All right, coming up in a moment, you know who I would pair him with that's cross-paths with the Star Wars universe for two people that might have a lot to talk about? Hayden Christensen. Coincidentally, Hayden Christensen next, talking about his touch with the Star Wars universe and the awesome, finally bringing it all home to Episode 9, Daisey Ridley Rey next. Yes, that is my Han Solo Deep Carbonite fridge. Welcome back to the Extra About Our Star Wars special. Do you get it? It's a Han Solo Carbonite Freeze refrigerator where you keep your beverages because Han Solo is also frozen. I'm going crazy here at home. How are you doing? Might I suggest, if you haven't gotten the idea already, that you watch all the Star Wars movies? Mandalorian Season 2 is not here yet, so you might as well, right? You got nowhere to go. All right, if you haven't seen Episode 3, for the youngins, I always say 1, 2, and 3, you could almost skip the first two because it gets real in 3. Burden of Pressure on Hayden Christensen. He's the guy that has to show in his acting ability how Anakin Skywalker becomes Darth Vader and sell it. Indeed, he did. I caught up with him at Skywalker Ranch to talk about it.
So I'm sitting next to this middle-aged guy watching the moment where the transformation is complete and the suit gets married to Anakin, or to Darth at that point, and the helmet is attached. And this guy is practically weeping because it just looks so cool.
It's one of the great movie moments, I think. You know, a lot of fun for me to get to do, but to watch it on the big screen, you know, you have a very emotional reaction to it. You know, we've been waiting to see Darth Vader for a while, and and the way in which it's presented is just bad.
Phenomenal job there. But what the people want in this day and age is the lady power. Albeit Carrie Fisher and Princess Leia did a great job showing how powerful women could be in these Star Wars movies. No one has brought it home. No one has brought it to this generation of new Star Wars fans like Daisey Ridley. Rey not only is a remarkable new character, not only, in my opinion, resurrected the series, but also is awesome, much like Daisey Ridley, one of the nicest people on the planet, despite the fact she denies it. Take a look. You know, starting out, spending your time in the pub as a pub waitress or pub tender, do you find that you're more patient with people that are waiting on you?
No.
No, really? No? Less so?
Oh, I don't like many people. And in the pub, I'd be like, can we get on with this? I don't need to do small talk. I'll get you your drink and then let's move on because I want to be doing my job. I'm not patient. I'm also an impatient driver. Lots of honking and shouting.
I would have loved to have met her during her pub days. I think the nicest people on the planet are the people who typically say that they're not that nice. And I think Daisey Ridley's nice. If you want to see the whole interview, in fact, all of my Star Wars universe interviews dating back 30 years and all the celebrities under the roof, check out Star Wars and all movies on Extra Butter on YouTube. Be sure and like and subscribe. And thanks for hanging out with me during my time of isolation. You know, you're the only friend that I get to hang out with because my own family won't hang out with me during this time. And I just went, where are you going? The credits haven't even finished rolling. We're still shooting the special. Aww.